I am Noa Dunn. I am Roy's sister, and I'm here today. I'm also an alumni. I'm here today to teach you all about this parasite called Leishmaniasis. You know, with me, it's a little difficult to say. Leishmaniasis. If you put like a Russian accent, it works kind of. What is Leishmaniasis, you might ask? So, an infection caused by a parasite that is spread through people with the bite of a sandfly. So I will explain that more in detail later. And a parasite is an organism that lives on or inside the host body, and it feeds off of it, and it usually harms the host because infectious diseases usually are transmitted. So, question: has anyone ever gotten bitten by a mosquito bite or like a fly? Yeah? Okay, cool.
Do I have Leishmaniasis?
Really? No, you do not. We will actually explain that. Maybe you do. We'll see.
I think he might.
Well, Leishmaniasis is transferred by, you can get it by a sandfly. They're usually females, they're usually the carriers. And like mosquito bites, you can't really notice it, right? When you get a mosquito bite, do you actually feel it like drawing up blood, anything? No, that's why it's actually really dangerous, because you might not notice that you've gotten Leishmaniasis or that you've gotten bitten by a sandfly in that region, and you could potentially have that disease, which is really dangerous. So, there are 3 types of parasites. There are protozoa, which is a microscopic one, so you have to look under a microscope to look at it. It's usually one-celled organisms, and they're transmitted through mosquito bites and sandflies, ticks, stuff like that, you know what I mean? And that's what it looks like under a microscope. Then there's the helminths, and they're large and multicellular organisms, so they actually are worms. It's kind of disgusting. And you can get this parasite through worms like tapeworms. Kind of bad, but that's actually kind of how it looks like. That's a ruler, so. Okay. And then there's the last one, which is ectoparasites. And they attach themselves to the outer layer of the host. So, can you guys think of any that are kind of like that? They attach themselves and then they suck the blood out of you? Yeah.
The leech.
Leeches are. There's ticks. Do you have one? Okay. Ticks, lice. Those are all like that. And can anyone guess? It's okay if you get it wrong. Which one Leishmaniasis is? Like we said, it's
The third one.
no, close, but yeah, or sure. Yes.
Is it the worm?
No, it's not. But yes,
First one?
it's the first one. Correct. It is protozoa. Let's talk about the life cycle of the sandfly, guys. How the actual sandfly gets Leishmaniasis, the parasite. Because there's 2 processes. There's one for how the sandfly gets Leishmaniasis, and then how the human gets it. So it starts with a blood meal. Parasite goes up to an animal or a human or anything really that has the Leishmaniasis virus and feeds off of it. And while doing that, it contracts it, and all of a sudden now the sandfly has Leishmaniasis. And in a molecular sense, what happens is the parasite is inside the body, and it gets ingested into a cell, and the cell is called a macrophage. And if you guys want to repeat that with me, macrophage. Yeah, they're a little weird. Okay, macrophage, macrophage. Oh, GE, sorry. So macrophages, what they are is that they're immune cells. So their whole purpose is to detect or look for those bodies or cells or parasites, whatever they are, in the body that aren't supposed to be there. And what they literally do is they swallow them whole. And then once they're inside the cell, they break them down. So that happens. But the thing is with parasites, they're actually really tricky and smart. They'll get absorbed into the macrophage, and they'll almost hide or confuse the cell, the macrophage, so that all of a sudden it's in there and it's just kind of chilling there, doesn't really do anything, it doesn't get destroyed. That's the problem. So And the parasite, when it's like in the body before it gets ingested or like swallowed by the macrophage, it's called an amastigote. Amastigote. Cool. Okay. So when it's in the macrophage, it transforms into a promastigote. And really the only thing that's like really significant about the difference in the two is that promastigotes have a tail. So they can swim around they can swim inside the bloodstream. They're pretty interesting. And once that happens, they divide in the gut and where it is, and they migrate to the mouth of the sandline, where it will bite a human. So once it bites the human, the blood meal will happen, and the Leishmaniasis parasite is now in the human body. And they were at that point they're promastigotes, correct? Like what we talked about. And they get absorbed again into a macrophage, but this time inside the human body, the human macrophages. And then they transform again into amastigotes. So it's like a reverse process. And once that happens, they multiply and they spread into other cells and then multiply again until your whole body is filled with Leishmaniasis parasites. So, does anyone have any questions on any of them? Yes.
If you have this disease, would you even know?
Actually,
Would you feel it?
we can talk about that. There's going to be slides about that later, but I can tell you now that you won't feel it for at least the first. It depends on which strand you have. There's several strands, but in most cases, for all of them, you won't feel them at least in the first few weeks. So it can go till months, like years, and then you'll start feeling this. The different strands of Leishmaniasis. There are 3 common strands. There are obviously way more other strands, but they're not as common. So we're just going to talk about the 3 and where they are and what the differences are. So the first one we're going to talk about is visceral Leishmaniasis. So this one, it's a little bit different from all the others because it attacks the organs of the body. So once you get transmitted with it, the promastigotes will swim to the organ that it likes the most. I guess it's kind of random, and infect that area. And visceral Leishmaniasis can most commonly be found in places like India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sudan, Ethiopia, and Brazil. And this is mucocutaneous. Mouthful. Do you guys want to try saying it? Mucocutaneous. Mucocutaneous.
I'm guessing it has something to do with your
Okay, so yes, actually, that's really smart. Do you want to say that again for everyone?
I think it has something to do with nasal passages, because like mucus, also there's a picture of
Yeah, really observant. That's true. It's actually kind of named because the area that it affects is the inner lining of the nose or mouth area. Guys, celebration of learning. We're gonna go over and we're gonna have 7-ish minutes, but if anyone needs more time, we can do that. We're gonna work in groups of 3-ish? Yeah, groups of 3. Okay, let's go over it.
It's 70.73.
So, the first question was, what parts or part of the body does visceral Leishmaniasis attack? So does anyone want to answer? Yes.